Boom. So live. Now I'm going to prepare my questions here. That's good. So this is obviously live feed, folks. So apologies again. I'm not a professional videographer, and I'm trying to understand how to do the YouTube live. It's not actually that easy. So yeah, bear with me. I think I've got it working, and you can on YouTube live, I believe you can ask your questions. Little box here on the right. So I've got 4 people joined me at the moment and 5 now. So if you guys want to just send me a quick message just to let me know that you can actually write to me, somebody type something, that'd be really helpful. Help me help you, as it were. Yeah, so I think I just thought I'd do a general discussion. I haven't done a video for a while, so first of all, yeah, working well for me. Thanks, Hope, appreciate that. So yeah, currently I'm located in Mexico. I had hoped that I'd be in Guatemala by now. Yeah, so the situation at the moment is that I'm still in Fuerteventura, Mexico. Very happy to be here, very appreciative to be here and safe. Yeah, I was looking for, to be honest, a little bit of a change. It's been just 3 months in port now. Yeah, it's, you know, the whole point of the life is that we keep moving. Although it's an amazing place and amazing facilities, incredible food quality, incredible people. We were kind of hoping to get to Guatemala up the Rio Dulce, because I think it's important for you to all understand that if you're in a hurricane zone where I am now, almost all insurance companies don't give you insurance for any named storms. So if a storm is a name and your boat gets damaged, you basically don't get any insurance coverage. So that's quite a big deal, as I'm sure you guys can understand. So the strategy was to do about a two and a half day sail down to the Rio Dulce, which is in Guatemala, through Port Livingston, over a sandbar, which is just sand, no rocks, but unfortunately it's almost exactly my draft. So you have to wait for the spring tides, and then when the spring tides, I'll get an extra 2 feet over the keel, will be just enough, hopefully, to get me over the sandbar. And if it's not, then some people can tow you over. So yeah, quite perilous. A little bit stressful. The navigation anyway is probably not quite as relaxing as sailing through the Med, where you don't have some of the security concerns, and also the issues that are associated with, unfortunately, Latin America, and I think a lot of the world in general. But that whole strategy has been stopped for me. As of yesterday, I've got some information that there's a siege situation, and particularly in the district where I was hoping to get to in Livingston. The president of Guatemala has declared that there seems to be some issues locally, which does tend to happen a little bit in Latin America, that you know, criminals are basically taking advantage, or this is the information that we're getting, that the criminals are taking advantage of the situation with the pandemic, or pandemia, as said in Spanish, and yeah, that's just leaving it so that it could be a little bit more dangerous. Now, I haven't got in contact with anybody down in Guatemala at the moment to find out what the situation is, but either which way, they're not letting anybody else up the river. There is a list for people. A guy called John Branders, Captain John Branders, self-entitled, is obviously a captain, has I know he's a marine surveyor, and has a port, a marina on the river, I understand, and he's been extremely kind, as far as I see it, and put himself out there quite a bit to help people like myself get up the Rio Dulce. And we put our names on a list. He even set up some, you know, quite a digital way of inputting the information for the ship. And unfortunately, I wasn't one of the guys that was of the first, say, 15 boats, I think it was, to get up the Rio Dulce. So I'm waiting, and actually, I'll tell you later about a friend that I've made who's a rigger and professional sailor. He's living in an island called Cozumel Island, which is a couple of hours sail, depending on the wind. from where I am now, and he's sailed across with some battens for me. I probably a little bit overzealous, with how many reefs I've had in the mainsail. That has resulted in me losing the end caps for which hold my battens in, and also the battens themselves. So what I was going to show you, I've got here next to me Tom Gerald, and hi Tom if you're watching. Tom has somehow, with his contacts and friends, managed to mail me some of these, which are basically the end caps for the battens mainsail. The original ones are plastic, which I have here as well. They're like a hard plastic, and they crack with the sun and the pressure. And you can see that this is the original plastic one. And what happens is that screws in. You put your batten in the mainsail and then screw that in behind it. Basic incidents. The sails that come with the ship are incident sails, and the end caps and everything is. So mill some of these now, aluminium, and end it up right, and you've got your pressure in. You can put your cottis pin in, and that locks it into place, hopefully, and it doesn't happen again. Now, the one thing I would say is that with the Neel 51, that like I said in my last video, that the shrouds go kind of quite far, astern, so that when you sheet out a lot when you're going downwind, actually what happens is the battens hit against the shrouds going aft, and then kind of bend, which you probably shouldn't do, but you do get a performance gain. It's probably smarter just to reef and then leave it up a little bit more head sail. So that's one thing I would say with the shrouds. And yeah, it's good. It's one of the hard things to do is to get all these bits and pieces made. As you start going further afield, obviously I'm in Mexico and Quintana Roo State. A lot of boats down here, but they're mostly sport fishing boats. A lot of American guys down here sport fishing. In fact, the guy next to me is American. Sport fishing. And a lot of the guys using either custom engines, or there's a lot of people using Yanmar. So one of the things that is quite interesting that I've been asking around a lot, nobody seems to have Volvo Penta down here. There is one guy who managed to find, who, I don't know whether he's an official dealer for Volvo Penta, but getting parts in general as you go further afield is an issue. So I carry a lot of spare parts, but one thing I would like to do if I did manage to get down to Guatemala is to haul out the boat. They have trailers down there, and they're quite able to take ships wide enough as that. What they do is they basically just put like a trailer underneath and pull you out of the water. And then I could do a full oil change on the sail drive. I'll do at the same time, I'll do a motor oil change as well. But most importantly, just want to check that the seal behind the prop, or sorry, well, kind of more forward the prop. You've got the prop, and there's a seal which separates the gearbox oil from the water around it normally. And one of the problems with the Volvo Penta is, like I said, that unfortunately, even if I use the suction to draw out all the oil, there will still be a residual, maybe 1 litre left in the bottom of the gearbox that I just simply can't get out. And that would contain water as well. So the logical thing to do is do an oil change, put some more oil in, run the gearbox, I put it in drive, and then try and run it out. Now I've got no residue in my oil now, but all the same, it would be still quite nice to get the prop off if I do haul out, and just to make sure that seal is okay. So if I can get another seal, which is proving to be quite tricky, then I will do that and probably change the seal just to make sure that the gearbox doesn't fail on me. So yeah, like I say, sail drives, it's one of the things that I mentioned in my last video that it would be great to have a shaft drive. I think if you look at all the expedition boats, they all have shaft drives. And I think that would be one thing that I believe the Yanmar engine that you can, one of my friends, Scott, who's selling the HH catamarans, he's, from his videos, I understand, he's very, very good salesman, very knowledgeable guy. And from his video, I've learned that, in fact, with the Yanmar engines, you can extract all the oil in that circumstance. But I'm chatting to other sailors, and I believe that now this is what I'm told, and I don't know much about it, but it's a little bit harder to get Yanmar parts. So Volvo Penta, you can get the parts easily, but you have this issue with the sail drive and extracting all the oil if you have a problem. whereas the Yanmar probably a slightly better designed engine from this single perspective. Although, like I say again, I have no experience personally with Yanmar engines. So anyway, the option is when you get a Neel 51 from the factory is that it's a Volvo Penta. Now this guy who watches my videos, Philippe Bourdet, I think is his name. And Philippe, if you look on some of my other previous videos before, he said that he's actually planning to put electric drive propulsion in the Neel 51, which I think is very brave. And I really respect that pioneering effort, and I wish him all the best with that, Philippe. Yeah, my own personal view is that it's probably a lot less hassle and at the moment. I think it's quite early days for electronic propulsion, but a lot of people are making the decision to do it. And if you were to get a Neel 51 as let's say more of a holiday home and not a full-time live aboard cruiser, I think maybe you might consider the electric propulsion then. So yeah, so that's the first thing. So what I've done is I've written a list of some bits and pieces that I thought you folks might be interested in. And I noticed also one of my friends, Sparta, from who's probably in the Canary Islands, is saying hello. Hi, how you doing? And John Schmidt, you're from Seattle. Hello, how you doing? It's nice to see some regular people. Also, I just want to say a quick thank you to a lot of you guys. Everybody's generally been pretty cool about understanding what my intention is here. And, you know, like I said, I'm not you know, you guys don't want to see me in a bikini showing my ass in the sun and, you know, trying to entertain you like a soap opera. All my agenda really is I'm just trying to help you guys get an idea of what it's actually like to live on board a Neel 51 and get through all the misinformation that there is, and also generally what living aboard is like. But I want to say a quick thanks. I've forgotten the name at the moment, but a very cool viewer has basically sent me a link saying he's done pretty much a lot of the research for me on the wind vane, and sent me an email address of a company that creates a wind vane. And I've been in contact with them, and it seems that it might be possible to put. Really chuffed with you guys helping me out. Sorry, I got cut off there just a second. My computer's telling me that the internet connection isn't great, but I'm in Mexico. So anyway, so one of the guys has done all the research for me, found the company that can actually do the wind vane, and I'm going to research that further. And as of today, I've also taken the leap. In my previous video, I've got cut off like I was a few seconds ago. I was cut off when I was explaining to you one of the things that I would change or add, which is the Portland Pudgy. It's a small company in Portland, Maine, and they produce hard plastic, quite relatively heavy hard plastic dinghy that has sails that is also a life raft. And the fact that it's hard plastic and not inflatable, and that it's a dinghy that you use every day, I think is a huge safety benefit. Regularly I sail with just myself and my girlfriend and the dog. So deploying and trying to survive in a 10-man life raft probably wasn't the most intelligent purchase for myself. And so if we were using a dinghy every day, my view is to try and, you know, it's fun to train Eva, my girlfriend, in sailing, but also in the dinghy, I'll be able to have like a manual water maker, which I bought a secondhand one on eBay, hoping to arrive soon. And so just basically have a far more reliable, far safer setup to be self-reliant. So yeah, if you haven't by now, that's a Portland Pudgy. I suggest you guys investigate it. Now, the one thing I'd say about the Pudgy is that, yeah, it's not very sexy looking if you're more about image conscious, but it doesn't plane. It's not a planing dinghy. So the high field that I have at the moment would be your kind of go-to if you're going to anchor off from a long distance. So what strikes me in my mind is actually where I met my girlfriend in Mallorca, I anchored out well away from the marina, and it would have been about maybe 2K, or in Mahon also, when I anchored in Mahon in Menorca, it's probably about 3 kilometers from the ship to get into the main town and the shore and tie up the dinghy. So, you know, obviously sailing life, you're generally not in a hurry, but it's nice if you have friends and you're going to go and pick up friends a lot to have a fast dinghy. So hopefully soon I'll have both. And I delved into buying the Torpedo electric motor, and it hasn't arrived yet. I'm obviously in Mexico as well, but the guys here that are the agents for Torpedo have been amazingly understanding, really helpful. And so it's I have about a 2.5 week left for the Pudgy to be built, and about 2.5 weeks also for the electric motor to be delivered. So I'll probably end up, once I've a bit of experience with that, I'll give you guys a video. I think it'll be really, really helpful. And again, just another thanks to all of you guys commenting and helping me out with the wind vane self-steering. That for me will be an enormous help, because I will have a secondary rudder, so that kind of fixes that issue. So if I have a rudder failure, hopefully the rudder of the self-steering will help me out. And also I'll obviously have, if I got struck by lightning, I'll still be able to use my sails, hopefully. And if my autopilot fails because of the electronic obliteration from the lightning strike, I will also have a mechanical autopilot as redundancy. So that kind of puts me now close to having, in my view, before I set off on this journey and was preparing the boat, I'm kind of close to having nearly the perfect boat for me. The only thing left, I think, if I was going to be really meticulous, is to have a 24-volt water maker as backup. But again, like, that's redundancy and not essential spending. And of course, another water maker is pretty expensive. So yeah, that's basically the bill of the races from that side. So I'm just going to have a quick look at some of the questions, because this is really aimed at being a general discussion. Lost Time has asked me, hi Lost Time, it's a regular question I get asked is, do you like the fit and finish of the 51? I kind of answered that in my last video, and I'd say, yeah, generally, I think, yes, I'm pretty happy with the fit and finish. And I think for value for money, it's definitely there. I think for especially an upwind sailing vessel, I think it's pretty impressive. Something I've noticed, just for your information, guys, that I'm probably not many people will tell you, on hull, the clean bum is very important. So labor's pretty cheap in Mexico, and I was probably a little bit lazy and got some guys on the side to help me clean the hulls with the scraper. And I went for a sail, and yeah, it was basically with 2 of the battens missing in my mainsail. I've got 1 missing now, but I was still doing 6 knots and 6 knots of wind on a reach. So that's pretty good. You know, you're usually, to get that level of performance, is usually going to require a carbon boat or something very extremely sexy priced. You know, not sexy looking, but you know, not so sexy prices. So I think, you know, fit finish, all that question comes down to, are you happy with the quality, and am I happy with the boat after nearly just over 2 years of ownership? Yeah, I'm happy. But I think, again, I will stipulate that all of you should understand that once you start going towards a 50 feet boat, and the more kit that you have means that you are going to have to maintain it. So unless you maintain it, the statistic I'm reading and being told in general, I could agree with it, is that if you don't maintain it, it's going to be 3 times more expensive than you doing it. And also, it's pretty good seamanship to learn to do all this stuff yourself. So if you have an engineer on board and you don't know how to do something, watch the engineer that you're paying for do it, to make sure the quality is good, first of all, but secondly, to learn that you can do it the next time. Subject to warranty, of course. In the early days, you're still going to have warranty on all your bits and pieces, so you'll probably need a trained engineer to maintain your warranty. So saying Epico, cool, there's somebody from Mexico. Hi, I'm in Mexico, in Puerto Venturas, and pop along, say hi if you can get into the port. So John Schmidt saying, fit and finish of the Neel stands up. From what I understand, it's all the same as the other cat builders. Yes, it is. I would say that. And as I said in my other previous video, there's a Neel owners forum that Matthias, who's become a friend, and we're now in regular contact. And Matthias is a bit of a hero. It's this guy's like a rocket scientist, genius level guy, and you can benefit from his information there on his owners forum website. And Matthias has gone full lithium, got more solar than me, and you know, he's got a 24-volt water maker. Probably, you know, far more intelligent guy than me, but he's also an astrophysicist or something incredible. So you know, if you have any general, you know, very deep discussions on electronics, I would suggest you direct your questions towards him. And his wife Bertie, who's a really cool lady as well. Hi Bertie. They've both uploaded some videos onto YouTube, and their vessel is called SAN, so that's Sierra Alpha November. They're a Neel 51, and actually this month, go and check it out in Yachting World. There's a quick mention of them, because they did the Arc, I think the Arc Plus, you can see a picture of her repairing some of the sails in the middle of the saloon. On that point, I think I should let you know that I've told you about the end caps, the batten end caps, and milling some new metal ones. I've also repaired my spinnaker, which caught on the ladder when I deployed it, and so there's a little bit of a tear, not a drastic one, but it's repaired by another sailor here. He's got a really nice sewing machine and all the bits and pieces. So small tear about that size, just fixed it up properly. And that's one thing that you do debate about: would it be worth me purchasing a sewing machine to do some, you know, significant repairs on board? Probably a bit early, and also I just wonder whether the weight and, you know, the hassle of having one on board is worth it. But you can obviously do things manually as well. It's a strong argument that you could also have you know, make a bit of money on the side doing sail repairs. And so I've actually got a brand new sail bag from a local manufacturer, a guy here called Tony is his name. I think his family name is Dunque. And Tony, for about, I'd say, a good 1,000 miles, is really the only sail maker that I've been able to find. Tony basically just made me a bigger version of the old sail bag from Incidents that I had before. He's done a bigger version, and we made some slight design changes in that we put Velcro all the way along. And Velcro is just a lot easier managing than a big zip, or there was just basically a flap before with some weights on it that kind of made it go over the edge. Now we've Velcro, and the Velcro sticks, and it works great. So it keeps that mainsail protected from the UV radiation, which obliterates the material, and hopefully we'll get some more longevity out of the sails. I should also let you know, guys, I got contact. It's something I've noticed about whenever something new comes to my boat, that the topping lift and there are two main sheets, because there's no traveller on this boat. There's two main sheets. Somebody contacted me, just out of courtesy, I won't mention his boat, but I think somebody must have chartered a Neel 51 or was new to the crew, and they messaged me on Instagram, which I was kind of happy to help, but then it started getting a little bit arduous, if I'm totally honest. But they basically pulled the blocks in too close, and so that the two pulleys in the block have then ended up hitting each other, and they've cracked one of them. So the mistake there was basically to reduce the boom too low, so that the main sheets are pulled in too tight. So you probably just leave the boom up a little bit higher, and that leaves a little bit more space between the two pulley blocks. Kind of hard to show, but you'll see it if you look at some of my other videos. Whenever I'm pulling in the main sheets, and at the back, I've showed you one video. I tried to show you how you can essentially get the best sail shape without having a boom vane, and that's basically the leeward main sheet to do that. So let's have a little look at some of the questions. I'm having, let's see, fit and finish stands up to what I understand. That's John Smith. Yeah, it is. I honestly wouldn't recommend it. I think this one does. I was chatting to, also because of you cool guys on the internet, I was chatting to another a guy that was interested in the 65, which is the first person that I've had on the channel, asking me about the 65 and my views on it. And it's a huge ship, but he decided not to go with it because he wasn't that happy with how the cabin sole, I think it is, was connected to the hulls. I don't know, I haven't seen it myself, so I can't comment, but I saw it in the manufacturing process. So he wasn't happy. He's ended up buying a Leopard, I think it's a huge one, I think it was, yeah, 58, I've gone, or it might have been even 68, 58 Leopard from a few years back, and chatted to him, and he seems to have got, his name's Freddie. Hi Freddie. And he's got an amazing deal. So yeah, amazing deal. Take it. So yeah, and let's see. So Kalinka has asked me, I'm planning to buy a Neel 51 and install a 35 kilowatt propulsion electric motor. Given the strong torque, its power output is enough for the 51. Now, question mark. Now we are discussing the packaging and timing with the shipyard. Okay, well, that's really brave. Well done, Kalinka. I think that's quite pioneering efforts. And because of your pioneering efforts, then a lot of other people that are interested may also consider it. My own personal views at the moment, I'd probably still stick with diesel. And just, you know, because of the nature of what I'm planning to do, I'm definitely planning to do a full circumnavigation if I can. And I just think that, you know, if you do have an electrical problem, I'm noticing it here. Like, I mean, I had a problem and I had to get these little things milled out, where they were originally plastic. And I would be worried that if you needed parts, it's going to be an absolute nightmare to get parts. Like if you have a charge controller blows or something, and it's very specific to an electric drivetrain, it would be pretty tough. Now, I preface that with saying, or should I say, not prefacing it, but I'm in Mexico here, and what's been really amazing is Amazon is working pretty well. Takes a while, but it's, you know, pretty good that I can get bits and pieces sent out to me because there's really things. One thing that I think I want to kind of talk about, I've got it in my list of things to discuss, is when we're sailing, there's no doubt about it, guys. It's not propaganda. You know, it's not some crazy people talking about global warming. There is a lot of plastic in the ocean. There is a lot. And the more, how do I say it, the less developed economically a country is, along the shoreline, you see more plastic. So one of the little things that I try and do is to buy reusable bags, if I can, in the supermarket. You can buy little net bags, which you can also use for fishing, and not buy as much plastic. But just take a look around your local supermarket when you go shopping today, and you'll realize there is so much pointless plastic. Whenever you go, like even things are double, triple wrapped, even when you get them from Amazon, it's like, what was the point in that plastic? So one of the things that I make a real effort to do is, although my galley's a little bit dirty, I'm going to take the risk on the internet and show you that I have over there, big silver tower, is a water field from Buckfeld, I think it is, Buckfeld water filter. And what it does is it uses ceramic filters to filter the water. So coming into the boat, I have a 3-micron filter immediately at the water hose that comes off the pontoon. That 3-micron filter goes into my tanks, and then from my tanks, then I take water from the tap, and then I put it through the water filter and wait. I've also got, if I don't have time, because the ceramic filters can take quite a while to filter the water. If I really need water in the middle of the night quickly, I've got a thing from a Kickstarter company called Grail, spelled Grayl. And Grail have created a plastic bottle, which I'll jump up quickly and I'll show you. One of these. And what this does is you basically put your dirty water in this container, put it on top, open the top of this, and by pressure, this HEPA filter here in the bottom basically filters the water through like that very slowly, as you can see, but you've got to put quite a bit of pressure in it so you can hear the pressure. And then once it's done, all the water that's in the other compartment, in this top compartment, is then drinking water. And I can attest that I've used this in various rivers and from mountains, streams, everywhere. And I've been drinking the water from the pontoon here in Mexico, which everybody advises is really not a good idea. And I put a lot of faith into these filters, working great. So that would be the first thing that you could do, all of you, rather than buying pointless plastic bottles of water, get yourselves one of these. So when I go to the gym, which I'm planning to later, that's why I'm wearing this stupid t-shirt. So when I go to the gym, I bring this with me and just literally filter the water out of the tap in the gym. And Bob's your uncle, you've got a bit of water, don't need to be using plastic. So do try and make a bit of an effort on that one. And this is how you spell it. So it's spelled, I don't know if on the camera it's coming out back to front, but it's Grayl. and then Berkfeld is a British filter. But I presume there's quite a lot of different companies doing ceramic filters in your region, so do try and make an effort on that one. So now some more questions. For how long will you stay in Mexico? I would love to jump and say hello, and I'm currently in Mexico City. Okay, that's Epco. Well, I'm not really sure is the answer to that one. And we're debating. We're going to do some sailing probably tomorrow. I'm going to go to an island, Isla Mujeres, which I'm sure you know, Epco. I'm going to go to Isla Mujeres, which I haven't been to yet. I've been to Cozumel, which is one really beautiful and wonderful people. Everybody's really, really cool around here. And Isla Mujeres is, depending on the wind looks good tomorrow, so that I get a broad reach. So broad reach, ironically, because you shoot quite a slippery boat, becomes a beam reach, which, as everybody knows, is the quicker point of sail, a reach sail. And we're going to kind of try and whiz down there, leave maybe 9 o'clock and get in for lunch. Ports are relatively cheap here, so I'll make up the decision then whether or not I'm going to take the ship into port and then hook up for the aircon, which is really nice here at the moment, or just stay under anchor for a night and then head back into the port, which is, I'm considering my home port at the moment, which is Puerto Venturas. So yeah, so the answer is I don't really know. I'm going to maybe go down to just the frontera, the border between Belize and Mexico. I'm still in Quintana Roo state, but right down it's I can't remember, Bahia Santa Domingo. I can't remember. Sorry. Espiritu Santo, sorry. Bahia Espiritu Santo is at the very south and just at the border with Belize. And I'm tempted maybe just to do something different, to go and explore a little bit more of Mexico if I can't cross any borders. There's also some Belize is, I believe, one of the best spots in the world for diving. Now, whether they're going to have a problem with me anchoring and going for a dive during a quarantine, because technically I'm not coming ashore, is another thing. So I'll just, as soon as I get closer to the border, I'll have to test that. I have a British passport, and I believe there's a pretty good relationship between Belize and the UK. So I'm hoping to try and see, maybe they might be a little bit more friendly and I can go for a dive, just drop the anchor. Don't particularly want to come ashore at the moment. Maybe if there's a hurricane warning, we might, myself and my friend who helped me fix the rigging, both of us might shoot down to the Bahia Espiritu Sanctus, down in that region, because it looks a little bit more protected, and being under anchor in that bay, surrounded by forestry, would strike me as a safer place to be than in port. So one of the things that concerns me, particularly with the hurricane, everybody knows hurricanes got huge winds, but what a lot of people that haven't sailed a lot would know is that even in port, you get a lot of surge. So the water level increases very significantly in a storm, and the storms here in the tropics are not to be sniffed at, let's say. And we already had maybe a 40 knot storm here in the port, and we had about an extra maybe meter of surge. So we had to take the ship quite well away from using the mooring balls that were out in the actual middle of the port. And I took the boat well off the pontoon, and then we put tires, just have loads of oil tires that we put along the side. What concerns me in a hurricane is that the surge will be so much that actually the boat will be well above the pontoon, and it would be possible then the keel and the rudder to maybe get damaged, and obviously you'd be beaching the whole ship on the shore. So yeah, that's basically, I don't really have much choice with the quarantine. I would much prefer to be in a safer hurricane zone than where I am, but with the quarantine, I'm kind of snookered. And then also, is it really safer? My personal safety, I have the responsibility, obviously, of my girlfriend now. On my own, you'd be a little bit more cavalier with your health, but and then my dog is also, she's a looker, but she's also a canine type. She's a protection dog, so it's quite good having her on board. Is definitely a deterrent for any potential thief or somebody that wants to come and board us. I think there's something quite instinctive about seeing a German Shepherd, particularly a dark one with white teeth, going, lunging at you. And actually in Lisbon and Portugal, some fishermen were thinking about boarding me, and Elba did a good job of deterring them. And while I was sleeping, and I got up, and they didn't get on board. So yeah, it's one of the things that I'm starting to get a lot of questions about. I never really thought about it before. People asking me about, what's it like sailing with the dog. More particularly about her, using the loo. I've trained her to use the loo on the kind of starboard trampoline. If we're going upwind and it's rowdy waves, she'll try her best to go on the trampoline, but it's not always possible. And so she goes up on the top deck, which is pretty easy to clean for me, which is cool. So she's a smart dog. And how you do that, I'll cover this one very briefly for the people that don't have a dog. Every time you go with the dog for a walk, you say "be clean" and keep a little tiny piece of bacon or something that they love, and you say "be clean" when they're already using the loo, so that they get conditioned to hear this term "be clean." And then what you do is you walk up. When you can tell the dog needs to use the loo, you walk up to the trampoline and then you say "be clean." And then when they get it right, you give them a little bit of a piece of bacon. And generally, after a while of doing that, this conditioned response will get them to go to the loo where you want. What I would say is that my dog's so smart that she's actually decided that's the only place that she wants to use the loo. So even if I take her for a 4-hour-long walk, she'll come back to the boat and she'll be clean on the boat. So yeah, I'm just sorry, folks, my phone's ringing here. Next question. Let's see. Do you plan on doing your circumnavigation signal? Probably not. And I don't plan on it because I've got a girlfriend at the moment. But yeah, I'm not sure how long Eva's going to stick me out for. But no, not at the moment. Not planning to. But I still think the same rules should apply. That you try and have the boat as best as possible to manage it single-handedly, and then you know that it's going to be easy for everybody else. Say I become incapacitated, then they're going to have a good stab at doing it themselves. And also it just makes it a little bit easier on your crew. If something is if you can pilot the ship single-handed, then it's probably going to be a lot easier to do it two-hand, with another set of hands. So what I would say is, yeah, you should be able to train everybody else up as much as possible, obviously without inundating with this. I think it's sailing, it's unfortunate there's a lot of pointless renaming of things which seem quite logical, just really to make it elitist and difficult. Particularly I think it's quite sad to see that some of the RYA exams, I think, are near impossible to achieve unless your first language is English. And I found some of the RYA exams, the theory aspects of it, particularly with the tidal work, I thought the tidal work stuff was, trying to decipher the question was really, really quite tough. Saying I put it up there with some of the questions I got in becoming a doctor. The exams weren't exactly easy, and the RYA questions were pretty tough. We should be trying to get more people into sailing, and not make it an elitist sport. Please put a link to the bottle filter. I'll try. Yeah, hang on a sec. Do that right now. Grail filters. So guys, smash out some questions while I'm trying to help you guys out with this stuff, and have a think about anything that you need, or you think that would be interesting to discuss, and I will try and discuss it with you. Let's see. There we go. Probably. Right, there is the link to the filter. That one. That's the filter. This Grail. That's the one that I've given you the information of there. And the other one you should be able to find on Amazon. It's just a ceramic water filter. That's what it's called. Although I'd say ceramic filters do take longer. So you fill it up and then just come back in a couple of hours and it's filtered a lot more through. So you just keep on top of filling it up. Whereas this is instantaneous. You fill it and just put the pressure and boom, you've got water. But the filter is obviously more expensive. So that's that one. What is your experience with the Sargasso massive problem? Yeah, it's not a good one actually. So the question really from Sailing Epico is that there's a lot of Sargasso seaweed when I'm sailing, and there's so much sometimes that it's frustrating when you've got your fishing hooks out the back and you keep catching this Sargasso weed on your fishing hook. And not so much of an issue right now because I've got loads of food on board, but if you're a little bit more reliant, like I was, for example, sailing from Jamaica, on maintaining your food supply, fishing is pretty important when you live aboard, and it's a nightmare when you keep having to catch the Sargasso, wind in the reel, put it back out again. But there's no doubt about it. In this part of the world where I am now, there's a lot of Sargasso. But what's also interesting is that the predatory fish use the Sargasso weed as cover. So if you sail close to the kind of current stream where you see the Sargasso, sail close to it, it tends to be more effective at catching fish. And what I've noticed as well for catching fish, if you see a depth contour running along like kind of an island, where the depths start to go from very steep to shallow, you'll generally find that that's a better place for fishing. Now, I'm sure some very able fishermen will give me reasons why. I think it's something to do with nutrients and current and whatever, but it's what I find. So yeah, that's that one. Yeah, it's a problem, but it's not affected the ship. It's just a little bit irritating when you're fishing. When night sailing and on watch inside, does the main cabin inhibit your all-round visibility on the starboard quarter? Not at all. Not at all. I'd say the visibility is incredible. You can get, you just get up, and if you need to see round and you're expecting a ship to be in that quarter, on my starboard stern, I'll actually just get up and just try and look at it. You should be a bit alert, but I'm pretty privileged that I have the 4G broadband radar, and the 4G is, once it's set up and now that I have it working, it's absolutely incredible. You can actually see some objects, like big buoys and stuff in the water really well. So I definitely think if you're going single-handed and it's in your budget, then I think seriously invest in the radar. I'm led to believe from guys that are more savvy in radar than I am that the 4G radar is better close up, and then there's old school radar. I think 3G and the older models is actually better for further away. What I have noticed is whether the 4G radar that I have, it picks up squalls. So the two things are obviously ships and bad weather that you can pick up on radar. That's basically what you're looking for. And with the squalls, I've noticed that it seems to pick the squalls up best at about 6 to 8 miles away, which under my calculation gives me, depending what speed you're going, but usually gives me about, I've calculated in practice at about 20 minutes reaction time for a squall to be coming in, as long as it's not a bloody hurricane. But yeah, about 20 minutes reaction time. So it gives me enough time to think. If I have a guard zone set on my radar, which the guard zone tells me that if it picks up a target, which be it a ship or bad weather in that 6 mile radius, there will be a guard zone, and now I've got a blip, a target back, then I know I've got about 20 minutes that I need to react. If it's any shorter, 4 miles, I probably should be up on deck, either at the winches and preparing a reef. So that kind of helps you what that's like. If you were buying Neel 51 today, what would you do different from your original purchase? Wow. First of all, I probably would do. I would chat to the other Neel 51 owners. What is now available to me is that website, the Neel Owners Forum, because we've all had the exact same problems. I would have a chat with myself. I would let myself know that the life living on a boat, there's a lot of maintenance. So I was lucky in that I did research the best kit. Amazon's quite good for that anyway, for tools. I'd probably do a little bit more basic. I'd probably maybe try and get the books from Open University or a diploma in basic electronics. It's the one thing that I think everybody feels with a boat. Almost everything else, if you're not handy around the house, then and you've got to live in a boat, I can guarantee when you finish living in a boat, you'll be a lot better around the house, because you basically have no choice. especially if you're somewhere like I am now. You can't, it's something that I think is really cool about who I am compared to who I was before. If something's broken now, I'll make my absolute best efforts to fix it, and I won't just bin it. Particularly something that's come to light for me now that I'm in closer to the United States, and I'm on 60 hertz here, and sometimes some sockets are 220 volts and some sockets are 110. But if you buy anything here, generally it's set up for 110 volts, which is the United States, right? So what that means is, if I, for example, I bought a new Hoover, and the Hoover works off 110 volts, but my whole ship, all the plugs and everything is set up on 220. So you need to get one of those little adapters to step it down. But what I would say to you is that, again, it's going to be now on 50 hertz because my boat's set up for 50 hertz if I'm at anchor. And also, if you get a step down transformer, you have to get one that is able to deal with the power demand. So you make sure that if you get a decent step down transformer, a step up transformer, that the watts rating is adequate to supply power to whatever it is that you want to run, be it a washing machine, be it a kettle, whatever. You're going to need to think about that. And also, step down and step up transformers will affect the efficiency of using that electricity you've generated, presumably from solar or from your batteries. So whenever you do that change, you're losing a little bit of efficiency. So it's preferable not to do it. So a good idea for any of you guys would be to start a company online selling equipment to sailors that was either 220, 50 hertz or 60 hertz and la-di-da. And really nice, what would be really nice is some of my equipment, I don't know why, but some of, like my coffee machine just decides if I'm on 60 hertz, it says general alarm and just switches off. But some equipment continues to work absolutely fine. So one beauty that hertz. Now, if you're a manufacturer, it probably makes sense to make your equipment 50 and 60 hertz, because then you carry only one product for sale internationally. So that makes more sense to me. So I can't really understand why they don't do it. One thing I would love to fix is my washer dryer. The washing part is working okay, but the dryer is not really so much of an issue here. But if you go back out to anchor, it's just quite nice to be able to, have your washing and drying done. I know it sounds really precious and I sound like a flower, but it is. You can be sailing away on this quite basic washing machine. You can have all the bits and pieces, cleaning itself, and that's one less job that you have to do. And that is nice. Living in a boat, you always have a job list. It's always a long one too. So to have one less job, it just makes it, it's a nice luxury. Yeah, so let's see, is the forum open to everyone? Yeah, it is. In my last live video, go and check out the comments section, and I put a live link just like I've done for the water filter today, and you'll see that there's an owners forum, and it's open to everybody. Just register and have a look. Matthias, who's an absolute hero, as I said, on Sailing Yachts San, he set it up, so thank him for it. And so I was answering Epico's question is what I do for I would also buy a 24 volt water maker rather than the 220 volt water maker I have now. The reason being is because I'm not reliant on diesel at all then. I have a sailing boat that I've got good solar, and with solar energy I can make my water. And when I was coming from Jamaica, I was sitting with a pen calculating with how much fuel I've got, how much water I can make. And because with the solar on my boat now covers absolutely all my requirements on a daily basis, apart from the air conditioning. And that brings me to really the next point that I've discovered from a cool website. I implore you all to go and check it out too. It's a website called Panbo, P-A-N-B-O, and it's a marine electronics guy who's an absolute genius with the marine electronics. And he is installing air conditioning, which is 16,000 BTU. So that's basically about what is going to do a cabin. So the master cabin here, it would pretty much cover that. and for about €5,000, which is a lot, you've got a separate system that can run off the batteries. It's the first one that I've seen. The power drain is 600 watts at 1600 BTU. And that means that you can now have air conditioning run directly off your batteries. Realistically, like you're not going to go and buy, you know, heaps and heaps of batteries and heaps of solar to maintain your cabin if you're at night. And what that really means, why is that so important for the people that are currently in cold climates? What that means is that you're genuinely off grid. So you can drop the anchor and sleep well at anchor and not pay marina fees. Now in Latin America so far the marina fees haven't been too much, but I believe one of the places where I potentially could go, Costa Rica, the marina fees are on par with European levels, you know, $100 a night. Now $100 a night starts to add up pretty quickly, and for me now the only reason I want to be in port is maybe only two convenient reasons. Is it's convenient to get shopping, and it's great to have air conditioning. And that is really the only reasons, because all the other benefits and stuff tend to be outweighed by the disadvantages. You know, I'm quite terrorized, for example, with I've explained in my previous video, I'm at the moment terrorized by some woman has taken a particular disliking to my dog, probably, and she has a dog herself, but I don't know, you just meet crazy people when you start getting in close proximity. It's probably just taken a disliking to me too, generally, which happens. But yeah, like, I mean, I would much prefer to be anchor, but I just can't be. Yeah, it is so hot here, guys. The condensation pumps, I have the condensate pumps, and what are they all about? I'm not sure. I'll give you a quick brief. Condensate, I'm using my hibiscus drink, which is called agua Jamaica here. Basically, what happens is if you're blowing hot air over a cold condensate, basically you're sending the cold water all the way around the boat, and you're blowing the hot, humid air. What happens is the humidity in the air condenses, and you get water pooling inside the air conditioning system. So you need to take that away. And I have little condensate pumps that are relatively quiet, and the original ones were from a company called Aspen. And they're called Aspen Orange Mini, and I've replaced 5 since I've got the boat, and now I've gone to a different company called Sourman. They're a 200 quid pump, and eventually all these things add up. So I've changed them now to a slightly different company, and they it seems to be doing okay, but I can't tell until, you know, the next one fails. But what that condensate pump does is, at first when I got the boat, I thought it was a leak in the air conditioning system, but it's not. It's the condensation wasn't being taken away. So yeah, now I've fixed that. That's a real advantage, and that you don't get any water dripping down from the ceiling and stuff. So something, you know, that it's another thing to maintain, and I'd say the most intense thing on board to maintain is the air conditioning. And if you don't maintain it and you don't get to understand it yourself, you're not going to have air conditioning. You know, there are no air conditioning engineers where I am right now, so you basically you're going to have to do your preventative maintenance drills. I think it's important to learn everything that you have on board. If you can't fix it, or you can't get the part that you need, you're going to be in trouble, and it's a waste of money getting it in the first place. I also had a failure with one of the little touch screen displays, but what's wonderful about my current situation is that one, I can get post, and two, it works pretty quickly. So Amazon is working well. I managed to get a replacement for it pretty quickly. So here's from, let's see, Lillian Bezimer. Thanks for all the information you shared already. I like the 47. I think she's better to handle for me. No questions for now. Okay, cool. Yeah, 47. The one thing I'd say about the 47 that's slightly different is that you have to walk outside the saloon to get to the other cabins. And so I don't think that's a great design for kids. I personally wouldn't be happy with kids walking outside in the middle of the night or coming and going, make me a little bit more stressed out. So yeah, I'm not, and I think you all will have known that there's a new 43 that's being released from Neel. I just got an email in my email inbox. Didn't really see much further information about it, but yeah, my understanding was a lot of the ship companies were actually moving to build bigger boats rather than smaller ones because they're more profitable. So I don't know. Clearly, they're able to make a profit, or they think they can from a 43. So good luck to them. Sending up, thanks for all your feedback. I owe you a bottle of tequila or mezcal of your choice. Both. yeah, I'll take both. And then somebody else here is saying, nobody is saying, I've been to Costa Rica, lots of fun to be had there. Great. Okay, I like fun. That's good. I can do that. What else? I got with my Amazon, I got another cool delivery. I quite like my techie gadgets and bits and pieces that has been potentially quite pretty life-changing when I get back to Anchor. It's from a company called Biolite, and it's called I think it's called the firepit, Biolite firepit. And I'll spell it like this. This is how it's spelled. That's the name of the company, Biolite. And I used to do a lot of motorcycle touring with my mates, and they had this cool little equipment that you can put fuel, but sticks the stuff inside and burn the fuel, and burning the fuel creates a little electric current, unbelievably, that turns a fan that then makes the fire hotter. So that means you don't have to carry a gas stove around with you. But I bought their fire pit version, and it has a little fan on the side of it, which means that you actually end up having a near smokeless fire on the beach. But one of the beauties is that you can basically take driftwood on the beach, create a fire on, I'm going to set up a little thing on the transom so that I can have this grill without having any, the ashes and everything will fall overboard. Have this grill on the transom, and there's no gas still on my boat. I've taken all gas off. And use driftwood rather than charcoal. I'm not sure if charcoal's not the best for the environment, so using driftwood is a good thing. And generally people recommend not to cook with driftwood because of I can't remember, something about the fact that it's been in the sea. It can flavor the food with some toxins when you cook with it regularly. But I think one of the advantages of this fire pit is that with the fan you're burning at an optimum temperature and hotter, and therefore there's less smoke and less danger to the carcinogens that you would get from driftwood and fuel. So it's quite a cool piece of kit. Another thing that maybe you could go and research, and it would maybe save you from using charcoal, which is a little bit better for the environment. Circumnavigation, who's commented before, hi, how you doing? Thanks for following. Why did I choose such a big boat? I think it's a good question. I did a lot of research. I quite enjoyed researching this whole topic, like I'm sure a lot of you guys are doing. And I was thinking a lot about resale value as well, and losing less money, because boats obviously are a depreciating asset. Unlike a house, generally one hopes that the house doesn't really depreciate at all. But I thought, if I run out of money or whatever, I can basically start chartering, and what will have more value. So I think that's probably those two things: reduction in depreciation, and another revenue stream from charter work is really the reason why. So yeah, that's that one. And then nobody said, beware of cooking with driftwood. Make sure it's good and hot before cooking. Everybody's dioxin. That was it. Thank you, dioxin. And that's the point with this this fire pit, the Biolite one, is that it has a furnace, like a blower. Basically, it's just a fan, but the design causes the fan to burn the wood much better, and because it's a bit like an engine. If you burn the fuel more efficiently, like with the turbo, then generally you have less impurities and less problems. So yeah, that's that one. Now I have a list of things I'm just going to check up that I've covered. Let's see. There was one of the discussions. A guy called Jay on my previous video has asked me. I thought it was a pretty cool question. What do I think they should do for the Neel 51 Evolution, which would be the newer version of my own ship? And so I can basically say, I'll just make my suggestions from a consumer's perspective and not from good business acumen. So first one, I think the major thing I'd like to change on this boat would be, it would be kind of cool if I could reduce the draft. There's I think they're called seawind catamarans. They have you can lift the rudders up. They're in a cassette, so you can actually take the rudders right up, a bit like Corsairs and the smaller trimarans. You can actually take these rudders up and beach the boat. So it'd be really cool if I could dry this boat out. And why drying it out means that you can explore places a little bit more. It's called gunk holing. Reason being that the water's more gunky, and you're getting into little holes. I think that's why it's called gunk holing. But you can basically go and explore a little bit more up river estuaries, a little bit more off grid. That would be nice. So being able to dry out the boat. I think this would be the ultimate boat. I don't think there would be any better, in my view, if it was made of aluminium and had a bit better performance. So if you were in the performance of, say, my friend Scott is selling the HH catamarans, and if performance was, as I understand, up in that level of a carbon cat, if you could achieve that level of performance with an aluminium hull in this design of ship and dry it out, and you had a centerboard. So at the moment there's a keel on the Neel 51, which is makes your draft 1.8. It protects the rudder. But if you had a retractable rudder and a centerboard like on the Boreals and the Garcia's exploration vessels, well, then what you can do is you can use the keel or the centerboard, sorry, to explore very shallow places. And what you can do is basically go into a shallow area with your centerboard a little bit down. If you beach the boat, basically, you can go, oops, lift the centerboard up and go astern and come back out. So that gives you an ability to explore quite uncharted waters. So having that, retractable rudders, aluminium, so if you take hard collision, and I'd say some more watertight bulkheads would be nice in this boat, particularly forward. Genuine watertight, like, as you see in movies, the ship doors, or like Amel's a French monohull designer, and they do watertight bulkheads in some of their boats. Would be pretty cool. But like, you never get the perfect boat, but I pretty much think that would be the ideal boat. So for drying out, more performance, raised with a centerboard, would be quite cool if you had load sensors on the rig, because then you could basically put a spinnaker up and get some crazy fast speeds and test like they do on like an HH catamaran. They have the load sensors, and you can see at what point can you keep the spinnaker up, and then that means that with maybe like I think it's an A2 spinnaker, you can start achieving speeds of like 20 knots. So if you could get this ship to do on flat water, not surfing, if you could do flat water speeds up in the 20 knots, you do any better than that? Not for me anyway. I think it would also be pretty cool if I bought this. What I might do is find a place, and I have enough money. What I'd quite like to do is insulate and do a nice organized tech room, so that, and you might even hear it in the background at the moment if it's quiet enough, but the compressors are for an air conditioning system on a boat have to be a lot more. Fridge is like, so you get that noise every so often, and then you've got the seawater pump that brings the water in to the compressors, and it's kind of like a wall. So the real solution is just to try and block this off and insulate the noise. And when I first got the boat, sleeping in the master suite is great, because you actually can hear if everything's running well, and you sleep better with the noises. That sounds weird, but everything's working well. But now that I'm happy that I know how to maintain all my equipment, I quite like a little bit more insulation. So swings and roundabouts. Yeah, and anybody that's doing any sort of good bit of sailing will understand what I'm talking about. So good noises, and there's bad noises. And Philippe is here. Great. Hi, Philippe. Hi. Just get aware of your live. We'll start from the beginning. Thanks already for it, and see you soon somewhere at the mooring, Philippe. Philippe is Philippe is the gentleman that I was saying that has taken the brave leap of going electric, and I'm really curious to hear how he's getting on. And Philippe, just for your information, because you've just joined, there's another person that's thinking about doing the same brave thing that you are too as well. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Sailing Epico is asking me, why are aluminium huns much better for icy cold weather? Well, the view is that there are pros and cons with everything in sailing, but aluminium is more pliable, so that if you take an impact from ice, you have a chance of of bending it back out again and fixing the aluminium. And one of the biggest fears at the moment, I think it's probably sailors' worst nightmare, is either hitting a whale, which would be very unfortunate, but for the whale and also for the boat, or hitting a shipping container. So of course, you know, shipping containers fall off some of these ships, and I think there was one recently registered as having 350 containers fell off one ship. And what happens is the shipping containers don't completely sink; they float, or they semi-submerged. So then you can't pick them up on radar. So you hit the corner of a shipping container, it's just going to go straight through your hull, especially if it's GRP. So that gives you the reason of why you want the watertight bulkhead. So compartmentalize the boat so that if you take water in, it doesn't get in the rest of the boat. It just stays in that place, and you can continue sailing and survive. But also with the aluminium, simply try and bend it out, or weld another plate back on where that one was buggered. What I've done is I'm not, a lot of you might not know, but when I was in Sardinia and I hauled out, I took the time to put a big piece of Enoch steel, 5mm Enoch steel, on my middle bow. And what I've done there is basically I've tried to protect the bow from the very big anchor I have. I've a Rockner Vulcan anchor, which is a beast, and worked in 60-knot winds. But also that middle hull is where all my tech space is. And if I took a penetration into the middle hull, it would be pretty catastrophic for my boat. So I've added now 5mm of the Enoch stainless steel to the front of that. Not only does it look cool, but it also it basically it's helped. You know, if I'm going to take a knock on something, it's probably going to be on that middle hull. What I may do at a later stage is add maybe a 3mm stainless steel inox to both the floats, and that will probably give me a good chance. It'll be better certainly if I take a big knock. You know, if I hit it something like a shipping container, it'll at least take that original impact and deflect, hopefully. So driftwood for a thinner hull boat, like a high performance carbon boat, maybe, I don't know, but it's driftwood hitting a log when you start getting closer to places like Canada, I guess, or Alaska. If you hit a piece of big like tree in the water, that'd be pretty bad. But now I think with my piece of Enoch steel on the bow, I've got a better chance. Of course, all of these things add weight, but I think it's a good, you know, it's a good decision because I made it. But yeah, I think it's a good compromise. I think just have a little bit more strength in that middle bow. Yeah, there you go. So nobody's telling me an average of 10,000 shipping containers are lost overboard every year. Unbelievable. It's got to be some sort of change in regulation. Like, and also, folks, I think with plastic, you know, just when you go out shopping now, you'll see what I mean. If you actually open your eyes and look, everything has got plastic in it. And it's probably pretty much because all the oil companies make more money making the plastics, but achieve amazing things. So if we just regulate it and make it compulsory not to use plastic in circumstances where it was totally unrequired, then I think we could probably make a major difference for our planet. So yeah, Nepico saying on the inox, yeah, thanks. So it was kind of essential actually, because I got a much bigger anchor than I had before, especially because I was living nearly 90% of the time anchor, and using single-handedly using a much bigger anchor. I required to protect the hull from the swinging anchor when it was coming in. So yeah, I'm just going to go back to my lists. Any questions, guys? I appreciate it. It will help me help you. Yeah, one of the other things that I'd probably do in the Neel Evolution is on the port cabin, you actually have something which you don't even see in super yachts, really. You've got a super king bed. Nobody talks about this. It's mental, because you've got the normal queen size berth, but next to you, you've got this kind of whole area. And so what I would do is actually, at the moment I'm putting sleeping bags and pillows there, but there's a bit of and you've got the normal queen bed and it's a bit of a slope. So if you get a custom mattress made for that, you basically have a super king bed on a boat that costs a fraction of what it does to have a super king bed on any other boat. And obviously it's a sailing vessel as well. So I think, like, I mean, it's amazing, the space here. And the hull itself, you know, compared to, you know, the lagoons, I've talked about this before, it's obviously narrow, and that's what you have to do to get the performance. And I personally think it's more seaworthy to have a narrow hull, like, you know, sitting in the loo and all these kind of things you can wedge yourself in if you're going upwind and stuff. But yeah, having a Super King bed is just phenomenal. Especially the master suite is athwartships, whereas the port side cabin is you know, kind of with the flow of the boat. And so depending on what point of sail you're on, that can mean it's a lot more comfortable. And the beauty about having a big bed, it sounds very precious and I sound like a little flower, but it is really nice that you can sleep on any point of sail wherever the waves are coming from. Means all those, you got to understand when you're sailing on your own, particularly when you're doing very long passages, all those little things that annoy you become extremely irritating and tiring. So something I've taken great lengths to do on this boat is any little tink or little noise, you know, a little thing that tink 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 all the time drives you nuts on a passage. So I've gone around the whole boat. I've actually taken down, I found some little leftover screws in the vanes, hold up the roofing. I found a little screw that was wrecking my head for about 5,000 miles. Yeah, so now the boat under sail is totally quiet. All you hear is the rushing of the water. You know, when you start sailing a fair bit, you pack away all your bits and pieces. So I've got electronics here on my left and nothing moves. So anything rolling, or like deodorant cans and all that stuff, you very quickly become experienced to know when you put things in a drawer, you don't just leave them loose in a drawer, you pack a drawer tight. That really helps with those very irritating noises. Tempur-Pedic will custom make a memory foam mattress. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Thanks for that one, nobody, and I appreciate that information. But I would say to you that memory foam, although it's better for waterproof environment and it's better for mildew, memory foam mattresses on a boat in the tropics generally are quite hot to sleep on. You can get around that by putting, definitely, I've noticed that you sweat a little bit more on the memory foam. Philip is asking, what is my annual maintenance cost, if I can ask, and if it wasn't answered yet, without extra equipment and lifting? So I'm trying to decipher the question, Philippe. Usually people say between 1% and 3% of the value of the boat. I think that's too much. I have an advantage, Philippe, that I do almost all of the maintenance myself. So that's, if you don't do that yourself, it's 3 times more expensive, is the statistic I've read, not validated. But I'd say it's about right, depending where you are. So I'd say annual maintenance costs I've pulled out. It depends if you want to anti-foul or not. The anti-foul is pretty expensive. If you did the anti-foul yourself, it's the price of your own time and the anti-foul and hauling out. But hauling out in Arbatax in Sardinia, it costs me all told about 900 euros. Then all the other, I'd say with all the other per year, I'd say I probably spend on maintenance pieces of equipment, all that, maybe about another, maybe 2,000. Yeah, about that. The first year though, I'd be wary, Philippe. I would double it maybe just in case in the first year, because in the first year, well, you've got me now, I can help you guys, but in the first year, any problems you have, you're going to need to get the engineer on to teach you. And now that's under warranty, but what I would stipulate is that a lot of these guys, when you start going further afield, although you as the ship owner should get the work done under warranty, the person that is going to do the work doesn't want to do warranty work, because generally warranty work for the tradesman will pay less money, and also they'll pay slower. Okay, so generally what they'll do is they'll say this is an installation problem, not a warranty problem, and therefore they're doing a fix of an installation. You see, so they try and avoid getting away from doing warranty work in general. That's not everybody, but that's what I would warn you all about. If you buy a new boat, just be wary of this. Yeah, so and obviously usually they're the sales guy as well, so they'll try and sell you that, oh, you might, if you got this piece of equipment, it would actually be a lot better. So they're going to make the margin on the piece of equipment that they sell you as well, you know. quick one. I just remembered on this one, Philip. Thanks for reminding me. Another thing I would do differently is knowing the amount of miles that I was going to do, I would go immediately. If you buy a new ship, buy the extended warranty by Volvo Penta. It gives you obviously an extended warranty, yeah, I would do that. I think that'd be worth the money. What I bought there's like a CPU as part of the engine. It's expensive. It was about 500 quid, was it? Because without it, you're not, you could basically be an amazing mechanic, have all the batteries you like to start the engine, but it won't start. And apparently, if you research the hell out of the Volvo Penta D275, it appears that there seemed to be a bit of a flaw with the CPU. So I bought another one as backup. All makes sense and is what I expect. Thanks. What kind of antifoul are you using at the moment, and how happy are you with it? Yeah, big contentious question. I've researched this one a lot. Listen, my view is don't be spending heaps of money on copper. If you can find somebody that can do it very well, and you've seen their previous work and asked their previous customers, then maybe think about the copper, but it's very expensive. There's no doubt having a clean belly really, really does affect performance in a big way. But I'm using, I think it's Hempel. It's a black one. I think it's Hempel, if I'm not mistaken, is the make. And the problem is with any of the antifouls bar the copper one, if you haul out and you dry for more than 2 days, you have to redo the antifoul. So it kind of needs to maintain its moisture. I researched, I know never really got any good information on it, but you can put a wrap. There's now a wrap, which is a biocidal wrap, I think it is. It's a little bit better for the environment, from what I understand. Although the copper isn't I don't think it's particularly good for the environment either. But this wrap is a biological. I think it's an enzyme that basically stops the nature taking over your ship. Yeah, so I think that'd be a cool one for if you had a bit of time to research these films that you can go on. But I would implore you to be careful about, validate the information that you're getting. And like with all these things, the best thing to do is to do what you're doing with me, is to find somebody that's actually bought it before, and see their opinion on it. One thing I'll definitely do when I haul out, Philip, and I recommend you doing, is there's a special paint that you can put on the prop, and the prop is the one thing that gets fouled the most. And there's a special paint now that you can get that's quite a lot thicker. And I think, yeah, that would be a good idea. But generally, it's, if you get to a nice anchorage, one of the more tougher jobs that a rigid captain might get his crew to do is, get a couple of snorkeler masks on and start scrubbing the bum. It works just to keep on top of it. So yeah, I'm just going to look at the last questions and then thinking about closing up soon. Yeah, on the Neel 51, on the Evolution, I would probably also put a bigger window in that master cabin. You could simply just put one of the ones that's in the rest of the windows, just to put a bigger window, just to get a bit more airflow in, because if you don't have aircon, it'd be brutal in tropical climates. We've been at anchor when there was 0 knots of wind, and yeah, it was pretty hot. So yeah, we didn't get much sleep that night. But sailing, some people don't even have the privilege of having such deck space and so many windows, so can't complain too much. Yeah, close to closing up. I'm nearly ready for my dinner, folks, and I've found this really, really nice drink. I've never had it before in my life, but they call it Jamaica in Mexico, but it is actually hibiscus flower, a little bit of sugar. It's pretty good stuff. So I'm going to have my hibiscus, and my Argentinian girlfriend is looking at me anxiously to get cooking some carne, and then there's dog as well. So as soon as I talk about barbecue, she gets excited. So yeah, just thinking about getting that little grill I was telling you about, get that going and get some meat cooked, and enjoying the harbour life for a while. Anyway, so yeah, I wish you all good luck, and if you haven't, I'll give it another 2 seconds, drink a bit of my tea. Just if you have any other questions, quickly try and help. So just recapping the Neel Owners Forum, I can post that again while I'm waiting for you to ask any questions. Let's see, Neel Owners Group, there we go, got it. Let's see, so I'll post that all. I suggest that you guys go there, boom. I don't. You can have a look and see what we're all chatting to each other and the problems we've all had. Pretty cheap fixes in my view. And remember, guys, you know, this is an upwind sailing boat. There's nothing, as far as I'm aware of, for this money that you can go upwind sailing with this space. There isn't anything. So that's it. Okie dokie, folks. Wishing you all the best, and good luck. I hope you're all safe wherever you are, and thanks for your continued support. And actually, if you don't mind, if you can click subscribe and the bell as well. What I'm trying to do would be nice and justify my time a little bit more. If I get 1,000 subscribers, I might be actual to make a little bit of revenue from this, and that would encourage me to get some better equipment and do it more regularly. So yeah. Look, I mean, it would be helpful if you could click subscribe, and every penny counts, doesn't it? And maybe I could get that wind vane. That would be great. So if I could get a wind vane self-steering and install it, I could afford for that. That would be nice. But anyway, I'm really genuinely just trying to help you. So and be free of information, which I think is how the world should be. But safe sailing, all of you, or sailing or not, and be safe. And I don't think it's conspiracy theory. There's definitely coronavirus there. And I think you should try and look after the elderly people too. And kind regards to you all. Best wishes.